For all of that, she is one of our regulars here on This Morning and the guiding force behind finding love on Married at First Sight.
But today, Mel Schilling is here to share a different chapter in her life. Yes, in a shocking turn last month, Mel received the devastating news that she had colon cancer requiring emergency treatment to have a tumour removed.
Yeah, but after successful operation and incredible recovery, Mel has returned to work just 20 days after surgery, and she joins us now alongside Dr Nighat. Well, good morning, Superwoman. How are you doing?
Good morning, you too. It's a very different interview for us today, isn't it?
Yeah, very. I've got to say, you look incredible.
Thank you.
You look absolutely stunning. It's hard to believe you've been through everything that you've been through. I remember back in December, I remember looking at your post and I was thinking, this post doesn't look right for Mel. And then I read it and I just could not believe the news, especially at that time of year. How did you find out, Mel? What were the signs?
Well, you know what? I think I was ignoring the signs for such a long time. And, of course, this is not unusual. Definitely my energy had dropped, but I was having such incredible gut pain, literally doubled over and shouting in pain. And I stopped going to the toilet, just stopped. But I was doing all this international travel. You know what it's like flying to Australia, the jet lag. And I found that in September and October, I had to do a quick flight back to London a couple of times with only, a couple of days to recover. I wasn't sleeping. And my whole digestive system just stopped. And I just put it down to the travel.
So you knew when you were in giving relationship advice, when I last saw you, were you in pain then?
No, but I was starting to feel low energy.
Right.
So that was one of the first signs, which I ignored. In my mind, I thought, I've had a very busy year. I've just got to get through to December. Yeah. I've got work lined up and then I can rest. And little did I know I was going to have more than a rest.
We all think like that, don't we? Like when you're really you go through a busy period, you just think, well, I'll just get through this bit. Right. And then and then was your thinking that, OK, when I get through this bit, then the body will kind of heal itself and, I just need a little bit of time doing nothing in the sun or whatever and it'll be fine. Yeah. So what happened then?
Well, my body had other ideas.
Yeah.
So
they do.
Absolutely. I did see a GP in Australia. I was between two very long filming days and I thought, this is unbearable. I need to speak to a doctor. And the doctor said, look, it's constipation. Take this tablet or whatever it was and you'll be fine. Of course, it didn't work. So then I flew back here to the UK and things became a lot more serious. I couldn't hold even water down. I was vomiting and everything was completely shut down. Yeah. And so I went to a gastroenterologist and very quickly, even just in talking to me before he'd even done any scans, he could pinpoint, the signs that things weren't right. And I think for him, it was the unexplained weight loss that was very alarming, which I wasn't aware of. I don't weigh myself. Yeah. That's not something I focus on, but he had seen that. And so got me in for a CT scan within 24 hours.
And what did they find on the CT scan now?
Well, they found Terry.
Right. You've nicknamed your tumour?
Yep, Terry. So Terry was right there, the size of a lime, right there in my colon and blocking everything and trying to take over.
Lime.
Yeah.
Could you feel it at all? Could you feel the tumour?
Not physically, as in like a lump, but the spasms, constant spasms were going off. So that I was very aware of that. And so they looked at the results of the CT scan, brought Gareth, my husband, and I in and sat us down and we had that talk where they literally say, he says, you have cancer. And
but you were so lucky, weren't you, in terms of how, when you went and when you got your diagnosis?
That's right. It's that's why I say this is a good news story. It's absolutely been tough, but it was a reasonably early intervention. I mean, it was stage 3 cancer.
Right.
Still very, very serious.
You could have waited much longer, I'd say, no?
If I'd waited, I don't know, maybe a month or so longer, it could have been a very different story.
String in, Dr Nighat. So I guess it just goes to show, if you trust your body, right, and if your body is just telling you something's up, go and get it checked out.
And listening to your body when you have so many other things going on is really hard. And we were just talking off air and we're saying, as women, we downplay and maybe gaslight ourselves, going, it's not that serious, I'll power on, or think it could be gynecological rated. We don't even think it could be bowel-related, but the symptoms of bowel-related issues are the ones that Mel has been talking about. So it's that variability in your bowel. Sometimes you could be constipated, and then sometimes you could end up getting diarrhea. But who of us actually diarizes or keeps an eye on our poo every day, unless you have that background thought or that there could be something sinister? Pain is a factor as well, and sometimes it can be specific in one area, but it can be vague. It can be just a dull ache that moves around your stomach. Bloating could be another symptom. Bleeding from your back passage. So that could be that you go to the toilet and actually sometimes it could be just wiping that you need to be aware of. But when we think of bleeding, we think of red blood, but we're looking for more black poo or streaks of black going through your poo that you might need to discuss with the doctor as well. Feeling of fullness, as you were saying. I couldn't even have a glass of water because Terence or your tumour, whatever you name them, when it grows, it takes up space in your stomach for you. And unexplained weight loss, fatigue, general malaise, just not being able to cope with day-to-day things, sleeping a lot more than you would do, unable to follow conversations and stay concentrated on your line of work because your gut is taking over that distraction. And the symptoms are so stark when you put them out and you're like, oh, yeah, of course I'll pick those up. But they're so vague when they're actually happening to you.
Is there any ways to prevent colon cancer? You know, what's the best preventions or?
There are so many ways that you could just say, be mindful of the symptoms. So doing this piece is so important because it puts it back into the forefront. Having a really great diet. So your 5 fruit and veg a day, lots of fibre, water, hydration is really important in that. If you know that you smoke, please stop smoking and cut down alcohol as well. Then also look at your weight as well. We know that those that have a higher weight, then they are more predisposed to getting, say, bowel-related symptoms or cancer. So maintaining a healthy weight for you is really important. And obviously cutting down red meat or processed meats. But even you could do the best things possible, but knowing your body and taking those symptoms to the doctor and just having it in the back burner and going, I think this is what's going on, would be a good idea. Because I unfortunately have some patients who do everything right and then still end up getting... Because you don't smoke and you lead a really healthy lifestyle. For you, it's more the travel.
You're so healthy now. You are so healthy.
So surprising.
Hey, Mel, how are you now and how's your family now? Are they all right? Because I know your husband did have some bad news, so
he did.
A little while ago. So
Yeah.
to be hit with this now, is he okay as well?
He's doing really well. I mean, he's my rock.
Yeah.
He's my absolute rock, but it hit him hard. You know, I think when we were in that doctor's surgery and we heard that news, I went into just practical mode. I was thinking, oh, but I need to work. You know, it was totally irrational, but that's what I focused on because I felt I could
There's
control
a helplessness when it happens to someone else.
And that's what Gareth felt.
And you just feel that no matter what it is, it's cancer or heart disease, or you just feel there's nothing I can do here. Whereas when it happens to you, I feel like sometimes, you know, when my father's own heart disease, you just compartmentalise and you just go, okay, I have to do what I need to do to get through this. How are you doing? Because like you're back at work, and I know you've got some chemo to come. But it feels like you're just back to doing what you do. And do you think there'll be a moment down the line where, in 6 months' time, where you're sat on a beach or something, you just start to process what your body's been through?
You know, I am starting to process now as well. Because I know myself so well, my tendency is to just keep going and to keep working. So, yes, I'm having all of the medical intervention, but I'm also going Eastern as well. So I'm having Reiki, I'm having quantum healing, I'm starting journaling. And so I'm really trying to balance, you know, out that medical side with a more holistic side because that's what I tend to ignore. And I know that I need to process this in my body.
Because it's hard, right? If you're in a bit like so many people now, that you know, they're watching us at home and think, well, this is fine, but I've still got to work and I've still got to get out there and provide. So how do you manage that, living with this sort of thing, whilst also, you know, keeping up a really busy lifestyle? Like, as a doctor, what would you say to someone?
Well, I always say to people that being aware is the first thing, and doing holistic things is great as well, talking to other people, so it's not just all contained up here. Knowing your risk factors are really great. We know that, as the data so far shows, that getting colon cancer, bowel cancer does happen in the older generation. I'm not saying that's only just the case as well. If you have a history, family history of polyps, or you've got a familial history that your doctor should know about, that would be really good as well. Keep an eye on if you know that actually your weight could be a contributing factor, going back to the healthy factors. If you know that smoking, then try and see if you can cut down on smoking as well. And we do know that those that have Lynch syndrome or familial polyps within their family, they can also be affected as well. I think preparation is one of the biggest key, because you said, how can you manage all of this? It's awareness, it's bringing that awareness, knowing your family history quite well as well, and going early. That's you did that. And going with a symptom diary, going, I know my body, my bowels have changed, I've had unexplained weight loss, I might have had some black poo as well. This is the symptoms that I'm getting, because you went feeling that you were constipated possibly, and it's the travel that's affecting you. And I always say to my patients, if you don't get the answer the first time, keep going back.
Keep asking.
Keep asking.
Yeah.
We are lucky we do have a test now. So we have what's known as a fecal immunological test, a FIT test, that your GP can do, which is very specific at picking up very, very early signs of bowel
Imagine it's so
cancer.
easy for a GP to miss this.
But we need to ask for
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
And even if we forget the terminology, just say to your GP, I want a poo test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's as simple as that, isn't it? Just say, I know things are not feeling right, give me a poo test.
Oh, thank you.
Mel, thank you. It's so lovely to see you, and it's lovely to see you looking absolutely
Yeah.
smoking hot. All right.
Thanks,
you,
Dr.
guys.
Nighat,
Thank
as
you
always,
so
for
much.
your
Thank you.
insight. Brilliant. When